Alright, today we're going to start making this little arrangement here. We've got some 6mm rod out the scrap bin, 2 bits of brass out the scrap bin for these little bushes here. We've also got to make some little 2mm pins as well, but we'll look at that a bit later. That's quite a straightforward thing. Now this part is actually, where are we? Where's the best place to show you? Here, I think. Yeah. It's this part here which goes on this part here and the control arm. This is all to do with the forward and reverse mechanism, so I'm going to make a start on that today, see how far we get, see how long that takes. If we get time, I might start making some of these smaller pieces like this bush, this pin that goes in there, this fitting that goes in the bottom of the cylinder, which I haven't made yet. So there's a few small pieces that I may well incorporate into this video, but let's see how long this takes first. I know sometimes you look at these things and you think, well, hang on a minute, that's not going to take long, you know, it's a 10-minute job. But then when you look at all the little details in them and in and out of the lathe, etc., they do tend to take a bit longer than you originally think. So we're going to crack on with that today anyway. Right, I'm just going to face this end off and put a little countersink in there to bring in the tailstock, because it's going to be out 70mm for the turning, and it's only thin, so it'll flex. I'll bring the tailstock in, give it a little bit of support, nothing too heavy. There we go, we're good to go. That's the end. Zero the DRO now. Come out, that's 2mm. So if I move the carriage along 2mm for the cutter width, re-zero it, move it along 7mm, and that's our cut. That's our first cut at 7mm, which is, where are we? That's our first cut at 7mm, which is this one, that one there. So we've got to just turn that down to 4.5mm, and the rest of the shaft then, it's 4.5mm here for 2.5mm, which is just over the width of the cutter, and I'll turn that down to 4.5, and then the middle part of the shaft is 3.5, and then the same the other end. These little indents here, they're not actually turned, they're because it's showing the side view of this, and that little indent is actually the hole in there, so I haven't got to turn that shape in there. Right, I'm now going to move along, do the other end, mark that out. So if I go along there now, 73mm, which is there, that's 73. From the edge of that cutter should be 73 back to there, and it is. So I'll just mark that as my end now. Right, that's the end. So now, as I'm coming the other way, I want to come back 7. I want to move it 7mm that way, so this part here is 7mm, so I need 7mm in there. So I need to move that 9mm this way now, because of the thickness of the cutter. Oh my God. Now I've got to cut this down to 3mm. Just gonna part that off now, so I'll just leave the tailstock in a little bit, take the pressure off a little bit, just till I get part way through anyway. Take that bit of stock out now and just pop that back in. Just so I can clean that end off. Alright, what I'm going to do is I put a little hole in there to hold it. I'm just going to put one in the other end just so they both match actually, as they will be seen afterwards, so I might as well get them to match. Right, that's the first one done. I just put a little hole in both ends, as I had one for supporting the piece. I thought I might as well put one in both ends, it'll look as though it's meant to be there then. So anyway, I'll get another one of these done off camera, and then we'll make the cross pieces and the little bushings. Right, there's the two sliders, that's these pieces here. We'll get on and make the end pieces next. Right, just got these two ends to make now. They are 30mm long by 4mm wide. These are a couple of 2mm pins which go in each end with these brasses in between. So just get those made to start with. Right, unfortunately the camera ran out of battery during the parting off, but anyway, I've just left them a bit long and I'm just going to trim them down to size and chamfer the ends. I've got these pieces made now, got these pieces made. I've just got to make 4 of these little 7mm brass bushes to go in there. They're the spacers. Yep, so that's 4 bushes, 6mm long, 7mm wide with a 4mm hole down the centre. So what I'm going to do is I'll turn it all down to 7mm and then I'll put a hole through the whole lot and then I'll cut them off at 6mm. Right, I'm now setting up the DRO. I'm going to part them off. That's got to come back 2mm for the thickness of the cutter now. That is spot on there. Right, so now I'll go back 6mm and part these off. Right, just going to put them back in and clean them up. There we go. That's the 4 little brass bushes. What I've got to do now is drill out these other pieces I made to allow the 4mm pieces to go in. They're a press fit with a 2mm dowel press fit. So I'll get these drilled out now. Right, I've got to drill a couple of holes. got to drill some holes now in the edges of that, which is these holes on both sides, and then there's a securing pin, a 2mm pin goes in there. I'm not sure about the pin at the moment, whether I'm going to use a pin or whether I'm going to use a 10va screw so I can take it apart if necessary. Maybe a pin in one side and a 10va in the other, I don't know. I'll have a think about that. But anyway, I'm going to get these holes drilled in first. There's 4 holes. And how I'm going to set it up is I've got a parallel, which I'm going to put in there. Then I'm going to put these nuts on the parallel. I've measured these nuts and they're within a couple of microns of each other on their face sides, so I can set that in there. Right, let's get something to move them, which means I can set that in there like that, and the same at this end. Right, that's it. Right, they're just going to be sacrificial, because let me just tap that down. They'll be sacrificial because I'm going to drill all the way through. Right, first thing I need to do is find the centre and find the end positions. Right, I've got it set up now. I've got the x-axis set up on one end on the incremental and one end on the absolute and on the DRO, so I can maintain that position. I'm just going to spot face them first and then drill them, and then I can whip this one out and put the other one in up to the stop, and that'll be exactly right. I won't need to do it all again. So we just line that up on 0 for that end and lock it off, and then we're good to go. Right, there we have it. Just put the brasses on. Right, there we have it. All finished. That's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. I would also appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button, because that will enable me to grow the channel so that I can keep making these videos. Please leave a comment or a question. I do read all of the comments and reply to as many as I can. Thanks for watching.